We spent a few $1,000s to try to find the best headlight for the Corvette C6, and in this video we're going to do our best to break it all down. We're going to go over the features, the light output, the price, and so much more. Follow me, let's get rolling. The headlights we purchased for this shootout, we started with Spyder, and then we purchased a headlight from McLaren. Once we received them, we realized that this came in the same exact box. They were both in a Spyder box with the same part number, so we're going to completely disregard Akani and just call this one Spyder. We also bought one from Anzo, and it looks like this. Now, this is one I really wanted to test. The name is essentially irrelevant. And what you're looking at is a McLaren style headlight. When you scroll on eBay or Amazon, you're gonna see about 650 of these. I had to include this style in the video. I then wanted to also compare all of the Morimoto headlights, the Morimoto XB Gen I, the C7 style headlight, the C8 style, the Generation 2 from Morimoto, and then the all new headlights from Morimoto, the XB Evo Hybrid and the XB Evo. Picture this, it's 2006, there's Underglow, 2000s hip hop, Pimp My Ride. Nothing that we did to cars was for function. It was all simply for style, and GM did the same thing with the Corvette C6. The C6 is built all for style. I say that because the output of this headlight is trash, and actually the whole entire form of this headlight is trash. So when you're buying other headlights to replace this headlight, you're gonna have a really hard time finding one that has an incredible beam pattern. That's just simply because of how the shape is of this headlight. Also, a few things I wanted to note about this original headlight on your Corvette. Low beam was a D1S bulb. It's an HID bulb, and in 2005, an HID was some of the top of the line stuff. But the weirdest part is, if this was all about style, why did they use an H9 halogen bulb in the high beam? The color temperatures, first off, do not match. This is not pretty. I do not like this, and it's easy to get something with better style. So what I'm gonna do is first talk about the features of all of these headlights we tested. Now, this is what your stock headlights look like. Don't pay attention to the fact that this is silver and the car is red. We got it from a different car that we have in the studio, so be it. When you turn on your parking lights, all you're going to see is that one dingy looking incandescent bulb. That is going to burn out. It is not what you want. That doubles as the turn signal. As you can see here, it's a slow on and slow off, and that thing has gotta go. I hate replacing bulbs, especially when it's so hard to get to, like this Corvette. Low beam is an HID bulb, so when you turn it on, it's gonna change its color temp and then hold solid. I'm not a huge fan of HID anymore since LEDs have came so far. The dumbest part about your stock headlight is that when you hit high beam, you're gonna notice the color is completely off. And that's because you have an H9 halogen bulb in here versus your D1S bulb for low beam. Why would you have two different color temperature bulbs from the factory? I think it looks like absolute trash. There is nothing else that this headlight does, so let's throw it away. All right, now we got this really popular brand. It's this McLaren style. You see it everywhere. The name on this one was TT-ABC McLaren style, but it's named about 9 different things on Amazon. Thankfully, this does have a startup, and it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty animated. On low beam, as far as parking light goes, I don't really see it having one because that daytime running light is so bright, and it's consistently bright even when you turn low beam on. It stays the same brightness. When you have low beam on, you got 2 projectors on the inside. Now that inner projector seems to be a smaller projector, and that does stay on the entire time you have low beam on. The bi-LED projector would be that outside projector, the bigger one that does both low beam and high beam. There's a little solenoid inside, it just comes down and then it gives you that different beam pattern. So you're not gonna get really an increase of brightness per se out of a bi-LED projector. It's more so just gonna reshape the light. When you hit the turn signal on this headlight, it does have a scrolling effect. Now I can't change it, it just does sequential, but I love sequential, and I think that's my go-to. If I was to have a turn signal, I'd want it sequential. Now here's a headlight from Spyder. It also is from Akani because they were pretty much the exact same thing. We ordered both expecting something different, same results, same functions, same outputs, everything. It doesn't have a startup feature. However, this is what the parking light looks like, which also doubles as the DRL because this does not dim down from what I can see. Another thing too is you're gonna notice when you're buying Corvette C6 headlights that you sometimes have to reuse all of the original hardware, the original HID, and the original ballast, which is really dumb. The ballast will burn out, the bulb will burn out, the bulb will get less bright over time. I think that's a really stupid thing. If you're gonna replace the entire headlight housing, just go all the way. this is not for me. When you hit the turn signal, you're also gonna notice that the whole entire bottom illuminates, and then you also got that side going up as well. It's a little bit much for your turn signal. The side LEDs look really, I guess the kids call it mid, because it is not bright. It does not even match the rest of the turn signal that's illuminating. I don't like this headlight, and you could probably tell. This headlight, using all of the original components from your OEM headlights, has a bi-xenon projector, which means that that does both low beam and high beam. Now here's another super popular headlight. This one's Anzo. And when we got it installed, honestly, the first thing that I noticed when I turned it on is that daytime running light is the most inconsistent LED daytime running light I've ever seen. Honestly, I thought that it was broken. I was looking at it from the side when we turned it on. You have to come over to the front of the car to even see that it's any bright. Just like the last one, I did notice you have to use the original HID and ballast. It is the dumbest thing ever. Again, those lose brightness over time, so you're gonna have to upgrade the bulb too. So you save money on the headlight housing, but then you spent more money on a new bulb and a new ballast. Just buy an LED one from the factory, or buy one that's better or comes with the bulbs. I don't like this headlight because when you hit low beam, you got that slow on. It's the wrong color because they use an H1 halogen bulb for high beam. I hate when there's two different colors on the front end of your Corvette. You also want the style points. You want it to look good, and it simply does not look good. Speaking of not looking good, I'm just gonna bash on this one. The turn signal is so silly because they use that parking light or daytime running light, and then it does switch to amber, so that's all right, I guess, but why would you still use your original incandescent bulb and try to hide it in the back in this little reflector bowl? It is the dumbest thing ever. That bulb's gonna burn out, low beam's gonna burn out, high beam's gonna burn out. You might as well just throw this headlight in the trash. I don't care if it's cheaper than the others. Now I've got a headlight that came out years ago from Morimoto, the Generation 1 C7 style C6 headlight. It does not have a startup feature, but the parking light looks like this, and the daytime running light looks like this. It gets much brighter, and then you got that one bi-LED projector. It's super intense. I'll show you guys the outputs in just a second. That bi-LED projector does low beam and high beam, and then when you hit the turn signal, it looks like this. Right now we got that standard effect, but there is a plug on the backside you can unplug or plug in to get the sequential turn signal if that's what you want. Fast forward a few years, and Morimoto then came out with this, which is a C8 style C6 headlight, and this is what it looks like. It's got a very subtle startup animation, and the parking light is pretty cool. Obviously, this is reminiscent of the C8, and if you like that style, this might be the one for you. It's still extremely bright on daytime running light, and you do have that really nice projector that does both low beam and high beam. When you hit the turn signal, you're gonna notice that it has that sequential turn signal, which everybody loves, but with this one, there is actually a lot more customizability. There are 4 different keys on the back side of this that you can then change if you want a white daytime running light. If that looks better on your car, great, or an amber daytime running light. You can also change the way that the turn signal functions. So you can have a standard fade off effect like you see here, or you can have a sequential turn signal. Now this is one of Morimoto's new headlights. This is the Morimoto XB Evo Hybrid. This is the entry level of the new headlight that came out. You're gonna notice right away this looks completely different than all the other headlights, and this one doesn't have a startup feature. However, it does really have a bright parking light mode. It's a bright white color, and then in daytime running light, it gets even brighter. You're also gonna notice 2 bi-LED projectors, so you're not using the original HID and dealing with all that outdated garbage. It's all LED. They both do low beam and they both do high beam. You got rays of light when you look inside of the headlight housing, and it's got this fade off effect turn signal. The daytime running light is white. However, it does turn into the amber turn signal, and it's that fade off effect. Not quite a standard blink, but a fade off effect turn signal. And this is what the Morimoto XB Evo looks like. This is the top dog headlight. It does have a startup feature, and it looks just like this, where it chases those projectors. And then on parking light, you're gonna notice that daytime running light's gonna dim down. As you can see, this is just how much brighter daytime running light is. No matter what angle you're looking at this car, it is this bright. It is very consistent. Low beam looks like this. Now both of these are 2 bi-LED projectors, which means these LED projectors do both low beam and high beam. You can see the difference, high beam, and then back to low beam. With this key installed on the back, you're going to see a sequential turn signal where it's got that scrolling effect just like this. Now the Morimoto XB Evo headlights do have those keys on the back side, so you could choose if you wanted an amber daytime running light, a white daytime running light, a fade off effect turn signal, or a sequential turn signal. The last thing you're going to notice is this has the rays of light inside of the headlight housing that none of these other headlights had. Now this is the part of the video that gets ultra nerdy, but a lot of you like this. So what we're going to do is actually the multi-point testing system, and that's going to give us a benchmark for each one of these headlights. We're going to give a number for width, for low beam and high beam. And for the nerds in the back, we posted how we actually got those numbers in the description below. The outputs you're going to see are from two headlights, and we installed them on this vehicle, did our best to align them, but we actually had this tested by a third party off of one headlight. The headlight was the driver's side headlight, so that way we can have a good solid benchmark for all of the numbers. I'm gonna try to paraphrase how all of these headlights look, why they're good or why they are bad. Bear with me, it's gonna be a lot of talking. This is what your stock housings look like. So low beam right now is that HID bulb, like I said, and straight away it looks pretty good until you get to the nerdy numbers. The issue with this headlight, I believe, is that the reflector bowl is actually burnt up from this HID bulb, and the HID bulb is probably not performing at its peak. HID bulbs lose brightness over time, and if this was a new bulb, we might have seen a little higher output numbers. Again, the really bad light output score has a lot to do with the shape of the headlight housing, the placement of the lens, and so on and so forth. I say all that so you don't hate me when I show you that this score only gave low beam a 0.7 and high beam we got a 0.5 with a width score of 2.0. The overall rating is 0.2. Again, if you want to know exactly how we did it, go to the description below because that'll show you everything we did to get these numbers. We then ripped those headlights out and installed the Spyder or Akani headlight. We tested both of them, but they had the exact same light output. Again, same part number, same headlight. On low beam, I got a distance zone score of 2.7. High beam was a 4.2 and a width score was a 2.1, so the overall rating was a 3.3. It actually wasn't that bad. The overall beam balance is decent. One thing I noticed is that the hotspot is actually very small. Although it was bright, it was small, and the cutoff seems to be a little bit too sharp. Ripped these out of the Corvette, and we installed the Anzo headlight, and this did not perform nearly as good. On low beam, it got a 1.9. On high beam, it was a 0.8 with a width score of 2.6. A little better width score than Spyder, but worse on low beam and high beam. Overall rating was a 1.1. The main factors here is that we really don't know what's going on with high beam because it's pointlessly dim. It looks like the projector was rotationally misaligned, like a lot. Had a modest volume output, yet somehow proportionately higher amounts of foreground. Now this is what the McLaren style headlight, again, this was TT-ABT. On low beam, it got a 3.3. It's the best distance score we've seen on low beam, and a high beam of 3.4. The high beam distance zone score was not quite as good as the Spyder or Akani headlights. However, the width score made up for it with a 2.6. The overall rating of this headlight was a 3.6. It's got powerful output with smooth overall spread, but for some reason there's still excessive foreground intensity. I think the biggest issue with this is that the low beam has a near flat cutoff, which means that you're gonna be blinding oncoming drivers. That light is beaming at oncoming drivers, and that's the last thing you want. You need a proper cutoff, and this ain't it. Now I got the Morimoto XB Gen I headlight installed, arguably more popular than the C8 style or that Gen II style. And this is something that I found really interesting. On low beam, it got a 3.9 distance zone score. Yes, that is the best that I have seen so far. And on high beam, I got a 4.1, so just under Spyder and the Akani, and a width score of 2.0. So your overall rating for this headlight is a 3.8. That's very good. Oddly enough, I then installed the Morimoto XB Gen II headlight, again the C8 style headlight, and on low beam I only got a 2 for the distance zone score, and on high beam I got a 1.8 with a width score of 2.5. The overall rating was a 1.8, which is extremely interesting considering this headlight came out a few years after Generation 1. A lot of it, again, is the placement of the projector and the style of the headlight itself. There is some seriously strong illumination coming out of this headlight housing. However, I think the biggest issue here is that it's got some severe excessive foreground. If you didn't know, the foreground illumination, if it's too bright, it's actually just gonna blind you. It's gonna keep you from seeing a good low beam and high beam output. Major drivers in bad headlights is excessive foreground. Fast forward a few years, and you get this headlight from Morimoto, the all-new Morimoto XB Evo Hybrid headlight. On low beam, we got a 4.3, and on high beam, we got a 4.4 with a width score of 7.3. Obviously, this is the best width score that we've seen so far, and the overall rating is a 5. Now, I wanted to just marinate on this for a second because, like I'm saying in this entire video, the styling of this headlight housing is really hindering you from having a good beam pattern. Yes, Morimoto perfected their cutoff line, so it looks like this. And yes, Morimoto has designed this headlight from the ground up, but it's only getting a 5. And remember, this rating, this multi-point testing system, is a 1 out of 10. This is the top dog, most expensive, best headlight Morimoto's ever came out with for the C6. And as you can see here, we've got a distance zone score of 4.6, a 4.8 for your high beam, and an amazing 10.5 for your width. And that's because of those side shooters on this headlight. That's gonna bring your overall rating to 5.9. Again, this is the best headlight that we've tested out of every single one of these headlights, and it comes out as a 5.9. Substantially better than your OE headlight. What was that, 0.2? However, I wish I would have seen more numbers. The fact of the matter is, these headlights are really hard to create the greatest and best beam pattern because of the angle at which the headlight lens sits. It's also the angle of the projectors. I know that was a lot of talking, but hopefully you guys were able to pause the video and compare one headlight to another so that way you can make an informed decision based off of the light output alone. Now, what about price? At the time of this video, the McLaren style headlight we purchased for about $749. The Anzo headlight was $899. The Generation 1 Morimoto headlight was about $1,700. The Generation 2 is the exact same price at $1,700 from Morimoto. The Akani headlight we purchased was about $609, and then the Spyder Apex series headlight we found for anywhere from $700 to about $1,100. The all-new Morimoto XB Evo Hybrid headlight actually comes in less than the Generation 1 and Generation 2 headlights from Morimoto at $1,499, and the highest trim Morimoto XB Evo headlight for the C6 was at $1,699, so actually at the same price as Generation 1 and Generation 2. Arguably more important than how much does it cost, how is the warranty? As far as warranty goes, all Morimoto products were a 5-year warranty, and then the other headlights we got, like the Spyder headlight, had a 1-year manufacturer warranty. Akani we got from Amazon, and all I could find was that 30-day return policy. When you try to find more warranty details, you click on it, it says, go talk to the manufacturer. However, there's like 9 other manufacturers of this headlight, so I'm gonna say 30 days. Same thing for that McLaren style TT ABC headlight, seemed to be a 30-day return policy. The Anzo headlight had a 1-year warranty. So after all of that, which one would you choose? I understand there's a lot of information in these videos and they're pretty long. However, I'm trying to just give you a high-level look of all of the headlights that are even worth putting on your vehicle as an upgrade. There's a lot of garbage out there we didn't include in this video, and that's because they are absolutely trash. We have a lot of friends that have purchased headlights, tried to upgrade their original headlights, and they're a so-so upgrade compared to the ones that I've shown you in this video. Hopefully this helps, and of course, upgrade your side markers, fog lights, interior lights, and so much more with everything we've truly tested at HeadlightRevolution.com.